You used to be in last, but I guess they're saving Russell for the last one there. Again, this is a great honor to be able to introduce a tremendous athlete, lacrosse player into this class of Hall of Fame candidates and inductees. Lee Zink goes back with me about 20 years. And the only reason I know that is I think the first experience I had with him was out on Nantucket. I got recruited to go compete with Howard in building a camp on Nantucket. Howard used to run his camp on the beach in Nantucket. And we thought lacrosse was supposed to be played on the grass. So we put together a camp at the Nantucket High School, and my first experience was with Alex and Lee Zink, two twin brothers up there at that camp. The reason I was 20 years is because I was up there with a baby who kept me up all night, and my first daughter, Devin, and she was less than 3 months older than my wife was killing me for bringing her on vacation to Nantucket with a baby. But leaving that aside, let's talk about Lee. Lee obviously is your premier lacrosse athlete in the world today. And he just finished a tremendous career where he was selected and played on the world team this past summer out in Denver and took them to a silver medal. Obviously, a game that they felt that they should have and could have won, but nothing due to his problems. He certainly was a lockdown defensive player. He was a Major League Lacrosse Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. He was an All-American in Maryland, and he was one of the best defensemen I've ever had during high school. Wherever he was a winner. But that doesn't really represent what I think about Lee. I think about Lee as a very quiet, unassuming character who, again, doesn't really seek the limelight, doesn't need the rah-rah, just likes to go out and compete. Unfortunately, his twin brother took the brunt of that for the better part of 8 years or so as they were going up to the youth program and 4 years in high school, because his Alex was an outstanding lefty attackman and Lee was an outstanding lefty long pole, and back in that era I matched the two of them up in practice daily. So there was a lot of great battles, and I'm sure they went home and battled more, arguing back and forth, but it was something that really triggered their development. Obviously, having two brothers that would go toe-to-toe with each other, but they also triggered the success of the 2000 team and the team before that. We won the state championship in their senior year, and then they both went on to great careers. And Alex always likes to tout to Lee, you may have been All-American, but I got 2 rings on my fingers. So, that's the brotherly love that they go back and forth with. All right, but the key thing that I take away from Lee was not only being the best at everything he did. He was the best defensive player, on my team in that era, a lockdown guy. He wasn't flashy. He didn't have to be. He sat on people. Nobody could beat him. It's another Howard story, but I like to talk about Howard, and everybody does, because he certainly was a character, but he was also one of the godfathers of Connecticut lacrosse, as we all know. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have a mentor like him to compete and trying to match up with every day. My first taste of Howard was a 22-0 loss in my second career game. Probably would have been an All-American scoring the 22nd goal. That was a rude awakening, but that's other stories. But one thing I do remember, was we do have all-county voting, and unfortunately it's not a perfect science, and Lee clearly was one of the best players in Connecticut that year, but Howard didn't see him in that season when we had to do the voting, because Lee had a thigh injury and didn't play against Buchanan. So Howard didn't vote for him. Well, I'll tell you, I used that year. We went into the FCX championship game to play against New Canaan, and they had a young whippersnapper named Brooke Scholes who should have been an All-American attackman as a freshman. I said, well, Lee, you're going to lock down that All-American freshman, and he did a great job. He got the MVP of the FCX championship game in that senior year. So it was just another Howardism that gave me a chance to compete with Howard on a better light using a coaching tool. But going back to Lee again, and I'll try and keep it short. He has been a class act. He left my program, as I said before, one of the best players of all time. Went to Maryland and played with some great players, but he was, in my opinion, the guy you want on that team. You want him leading the defense because he was going to do all the right things. He was going to be in position. He was not going to get beat. He was going to lead by example. And didn't have to, as I said, didn't have to be the rah-rah guy. And then he finished that career and went on and did great things in the professional ranks. And then he culminated that this summer, being on a world team, and what a great way to end his career. So I am proud to have played a small part in the beginning of your career, and it was even prouder to watch you go beyond everybody's expectations and become the premier player in the world today. Thank you.